Now I'm going to place my tip near the outlet to see if we have voltage present. And that indicates we have voltage. All right, ladies and gentlemen, today we will be working with AC carrying, which is alternating carrying. Here you're looking at a 15 amp 125 volt receptacle. Note that one side you have 2 silver screws. The other side, 2 gold screws, also known as brads. And here at the bottom, you have a green screw. Let's crack this bad boy open. All right, much better, much better. The gold side would typically be for the hot. We have the hot, neutral, and we have the ground. Let's make some magic happen. So the first thing you want to do is locate the main panel, which is normally in your basement, especially if you stay in the house, so you can kill that power. Locate the area that you're working in. If you're not sure, turn off all the breakers, and that'll prevent yeah, you don't want that. Luckily, I made a speedy recovery. These are some extremely very useful voltage testers. If you don't have some, I recommend you get some ASAP. We'll talk about the GFCIs, the function, the operation, and the purpose in another video. We're going to stay focused on correctly replacing this receptacle today. This will be the special tool we'll be using here. This is very handy. Comes with a flashlight, which is very good in dark areas, especially if you're working in the dark. Shout out to them. You press the button NCV to activate it. You always want to make sure it's set to mode 1 due to the fact mode 2 is high in sensitivity. As you see, I have my device set to mode 1 as the instructions stated. Alright, since now that we know that our device is working properly, it's time to test the circuit again that we'll be working on. And as you can see, we have no power. That's what we want. I don't need another scene from earlier. I don't see how I survived that. Luckily, I made a speedy recovery. This is very handy. If the device beeps and it lights red, they'll let you know voltage is present. Alright, first you need a Phillips screwdriver to remove the cover. Normally you can get a Phillips or a flathead screwdriver. Vertically, we have 2 screws that hold these receptacles on, one at the top, one at the bottom. All right, and once that's taken off, you pull this out, and automatically off the rip, you got, I see 2 hot, you got 2 neutrals, and you have your copper wire that's for your ground. The proper way is to loop these and attach them on the side. Grab your wire cutters. Cut each wire off from the back. All right, we have the 2 blacks or the hots, 2 neutrals, and then we have the copper wire that's exposed will be your ground, okay? The new receptacle here, as you guys can see. So on the back here on the left side, the side where the 2 gold screws, you can see on the back where it says hot wire. That indicates that's where your hot wire go. On the right side, where you see the silver screws, you will see white wire. That's where your neutral go. And right here, you see strip gauge. One down. You don't want to leave too much copper wire exposed. That can become a hazard. All right, so now as you guys can see, we have the wire stripped and exposed. As you guys can see, we have each wire ready for hookup. So what I like to do is take a little turn, make that U shape. All right. All right, we have the U shape in all our wires that we'll be hooking up. Okay, so again, you want to try to prevent installing the wires on the back of the receptacle due to the fact you got to think about if it's a hazard to fire. A fire can start rapidly. As you guys can see, if you look closer, you'll see that metal plate back there. I would rather my copper wire to be touching that plate than the plastic, right? That plastic is going to engulf some flames if something was to ever take place where the wire has a loose connection. Can definitely cause a fire. So just a FYI, it's best to hook these up on the side rather than plug them into the back. So like I said before, we got the white. And what I like to do also is straighten my wires out. I don't like to have wires crossed all up when I go to connect my receptacles. And when you put these on, you want to turn with the loop. I'm twisting and I'm tightening with the loop. That's what you want. And you want to make sure everything is really tight. Any loose connections can start a fire, and that's what you want to avoid. All right, so now we have two neutrals hooked up, as you guys can see, on the silver side, right? Now we're turning to the other side, and we'll do a hot. Same process. Go ahead and attach it. Once it's attached, tighten up. Repeat the same process to the other hot wire. You don't want nothing touching this lead but the copper, the wire itself, if that makes sense. So then now, that's really tight now. So now, as you guys can see, we have a two neutrals. Okay. Turn to the other side, and we have the two hot wires. Last but not least, is this copper wire. That will be your ground. And there you have it. A 15 amp 125 volt receptacle has been correctly installed. And what I like to do with these wires, because these wires are extremely strong and they do fight back, I like to just take my hand and grab them all, bend it upwards, and just push back just like that. And attach the same vertical screws from top and bottom into the correct placement that it goes in. And once that's completed, it's time to install the cover. What I like to do is like to even them up perfectly like that. Place my hand in the middle of the receptacle. I start my first screw at the bottom, just twisting maybe a quarter inwards just to get it started. And I repeat the same process to the top side, just to get the screw started. So your ground wire is copper and it's always exposed in these outlets. A lot of older houses, you'll go to pull these receptacle out and you won't see a ground wire. You would just see the hot and neutral, and that's because they have the ground wire mounted to the box. So you will be looking like, where the hell is the wire? And it'll be mounted. So if you ever pull this receptacle out and notice there's no ground wire, 10 times out of 10, it's attached to that box, and you just have to add a wire and ground whatever you installing, if that makes sense. Now that we have that completed, time to add the cover. Now that we have all the breakers back on, now it's time to test the receptacle. Now we'll grab our little special voltage tester here that I previously talked about earlier. Time to see if we have power coming from the outlet. If it do, it'll beep in light red, stating that it's hot, which meaning power is flowing through the circuit. And immediately we have power. So that lets me know that we have power. Perfect. Let's go plug something into her. I do work with a lot of DC current. A lot of my videos on my channel is really based off DC current. Then you have AC, which is alternating current. A lot of my videos I'm working with and showing you guys how to make different things in DC current, DC circuits. So here I have my portable heater. That's what I'll be plugging up in the receptacle today. Go ahead and plug her in, plug her in. All right. All right, now that she's all plugged in, let's turn her on. And she's blowing hot. Y.W.I.D. behind the scenes.